Hi, welcome. It's Kathy from Green Thumb Nursery. Today I thought we would talk about houseplants. Since so many of us are living in high-rise communities now and you don't have a lot of room to do a lot of gardening, we thought maybe we would talk a little bit about what you could do inside your house. So we're going to pick a plant, we're going to pick a pot, and we're going to plant that plant in the pot. So come on in, this is our greenhouse. And first of all, you want to be aware of your lighting and how much light that you have. So if it's going to be next to a window or if it's going to be farther back from the window. So we have lots to choose from in here, but I'm going to tune in on some plants that are really easy pretty much wherever you put them. And those are Dracinas. So these are some of those plants here that have grown up, but we're going to start with a baby and let it grow. So these are some more of those Dracinas, just a little bit bigger, different shapes and sizes, different leaf colors. These like to be in a bright light to a low light. The more color in the leaves, the more brighter it needs to be. So the greener ones can take a darker area. They can get fairly tall and they grow fairly easily. They kind of grow like palm trees where as they grow they'll put on new leaves and they drop off their old leaves. So with age you can get trunks. So we're going to start with a small one right now. And this is one of my favorites. This is called a Dracaena Marginata, and this one comes in different colors. We have the green one. We have this kind of pinkish one. And this one I'm going to choose today has got a yellow stripe in it, and this one has been cut back. So you see here where it's been pinched back to make it grow more like a tree. So as this grows, it's going to have 3 trunks on it. And that's too if you get one that's just a single trunk. As it grows, as it gets taller, you can do the same thing. Pinch the top off and it'll spread out like that. And then you can take the top and plant it in the ground. So this guy is really easy to grow. So we're going to take this guy now and we're going to go find a pot that we can put it in. So let's head this way. This plant is a moderate water plant, so it likes to be soaked well and allowed to dry out between waterings. So we want to find a pot that would drain, make sure there's a drain hole in the bottom. So we have a large selection, but we're only going to want a pot just a little bit bigger than the one that it's in. Reason being is that if you have a small root ball in a great big pot, the bottom stays too wet, the top dries out, the plant gets confused, it doesn't know what's going on with its root ball. So we like to put it in just a little bit bigger pot, and it can stay in that pot for another year or so before you need to transplant it. These guys don't need to be in big pots, they have small roots, so they can stay in a pot for quite a long time before you need to even mess with them. I have one that I gave to my grandmother. It was a little 2-inch plant. It grew to the ceiling and it's still in that same small little pot. So these guys are really easy to manage. So as we come over here, you see we have a large selection of different pots. Now the pots that have saucers attached, there is a drain hole in the bottom. So this is kind of a nice thing because it's all one unit, so it'll actually hold a little bit of water but not a lot, and it does look nice in this pot, but this isn't really the feeling that I was looking for. I'm kind of thinking of maybe a tropical look, but if this is something that you like, this is something that would work very well, and you don't necessarily have to plant it right away. This particular plant can stay in this pot for quite a while, and you can just leave it in this decorative pot. So that's one way of doing it. But I want to go find something that looks a little more tropical. So let's go on out here. Now this plant can also be put outside in a shady location, and it can also be acclimated to the sun. So when it outgrows your little pot, you could put it outside if you wanted to. Okay, so here we have a lot more other pots, and these pots also have saucers attached. This is a little bit bigger saucer, so it could actually hold a little bit more water. And we would actually plant this one inside of here. And that's about right. You want it to be just a little bit bigger than the pot that it's in, and a little bit deeper than the pot that it's in. So, you know, I don't know. I don't like that look. Let's go look one other place. Right this way. Now, as you can see, we have a large selection of pottery. So we can take care of a lot of your other needs in this area. You're gonna get sun, huh? Okay, we also have plastic pots that you can choose from. These great little rollers that you can put your plants on to move them. Plant rollers, they make it really convenient. Maybe you might have a large pot that you want to put inside that you can take out on the patio and maybe hose it down really good and give it a nice drink. This would be a perfect thing that you could put that on and roll it around. You could put a nice little deep saucer on that, and then that would make it easier for you to manage these house plants that are inside. That's another thing. We might have to talk about that thing too later, on how to water these plants properly, especially when you get the big ones. So let's go on down here. Again, here's a bunch more pots that we carry. I think I want to try maybe a blue pot. And it contrasts nicely with the yellow. I think I like this one here, and it does have a drain pot or drain hole. Now this one can either be put outside without a saucer and you just let it drain wherever, or we do have saucers, and those are over here. So we want to choose a saucer. Be the wrong color, but for now we're going to go with this color. It is a blue, so maybe it won't match perfectly, but I like it. So this is now this is not really going to hold a lot of water. Usually what I recommend you do is that once you get it planted, you would take it and put it maybe in your sink. If it's a little bit bigger, you could put it in your shower and give it a shower. When you have it in your sink, you're just going to run the water through the dirt, and then maybe hose the dust off and dirt off of the top of the plant. That keeps the bugs and guys away. Let it drain, and then you can set it back on your saucer. And your saucer would help to keep the moisture from sitting on whatever surface that you're putting it on. And then we also have a cork mat that you could put under that to even ensure further protection from the moisture. Okay, so now we have our saucer, we have our pot, so let's go find some soil. We do have potting available. If you have a plant that you need to, you want to buy a container from us, we can transplant any plants that we sell here into containers for you. We don't usually take your home plants and plant them in, but if it's a small thing and we can manage it, we'll certainly give it a try. As long as you purchase the pot from us, we're more than happy to do that. So, you know, we do have Christmas coming up. And these are really good ways to just give somebody a living gift. Fairly inexpensive. Okay, so now we're going to head inside to where we have our soils. We also have all the fertilizers, and hopefully you won't need the insecticides, but we do have insecticides if you should have a bug issue. Okay, so as you see, we have a full line of soils, and because we don't need a big bag, we're going to go with one of the smaller bags. So what's the difference between all these things? Well, they're used for different applications, but for containers, all you need to remember is the word pot. Potting soil is what you want for a pot. So we're going to use this one here. This one's called Edna's Best, and it is an organic potting soil. And this works very well for this kind of plant. So this is the one we're going to go with. Now, if you were, say, going to be planting cactus or succulents, you would use the cactus mix. But this guy here is going to be doing just fine with a regular old potting soil. So now we're going to go find us a place where we can pot this up. Okay, we're magically in a spot where we can actually pot this up. So we have our plant, our pot, saucer, our potting soil, and we're going to be using some Osmocote. I like Osmocote because it's a slow release fertilizer. It's easy to apply. It doesn't damage if you over apply it, although you're just wasting it, but it won't hurt anything. And it lasts for 6 months. So for me, that's great because I don't have a lot of time. I'm sure you all are the same way. So we got the drain hole in the bottom of the pot. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there is one in there. And we're going to take some just regular old screen material. We're going to cut out a little piece. This is fiberglass screen. And we're just going to cut out a piece big enough to cover the hole so the dirt stays in. If you put it outside, that also keeps the bugs out. And then we're going to use some of our potting soil. Now basically when we plant this, the top of this root ball here, gently going to pull this. We've got some roots on the bottom, so we're just going to kind of loosen those up a little bit and pull that pot right off. So it's got a little bit of, it's been in this little pot for a little while. So we're going to loosen up his root ball so that he can stretch out. So we're just being gentle here. If some of them break off, it's no big deal. You just don't want to go crazy with it. Okay, so there we go. We've loosened that up. So the top of this root ball needs to be maybe about an inch below the top of the pot, so that when you water, you can fill it up a little bit, give it a good drink when you water it. I like to tell people to fill it up, let it drain through, fill it up one more time, let it drain through, fill it up one more time, let it drain through with the water when you water it. So I'll show you when we go to finish this off. Okay, so we're going to put some dirt in there because obviously we need to make up some space because it's a little bit deeper. So we're going to put some of that dirt, the potting soil that we got. Take a handful or two and put that down in the bottom. I'm going to test it, see where we're at as far as, okay, that looks pretty good. So can you kind of see that? So it's level, it's down about an inch or so. So now we're going to take some more of the soil and we're going to firm that in around the root ball to take up that empty space that was left behind. Like I said, Dracinas are very easy. These are the kind of guys that actually do well with neglect. They actually want to be dry before you water them again. And then when you water them, don't be afraid to give them a really good amount of water. Like I said, fill it up to the rim with water and let it drain down through. Fill it up one more time, let it drain down through. One more time, 3 times the charm. So then we're going to take a little bit of the fertilizer. For this size pot, about a teaspoon. And then we're just going to sprinkle that in around the top. And then I'm just going to kind of massage it into the top there. Now if I hadn't been talking, I would have done it before I put that last bit of soil in there, but because I was talking, I wasn't paying attention. But this works too, in case you're doing the same thing. So easily do we get us distracted, right? Okay, so now we've got the fertilizer in there, and now this plant is going to be fertilized for the next 6 months, which is kind of cool. So next, what, almost February or whatever, you're going to put some more of that fertilizer in there. Okay, so now we've got it all firmed down in there. We've got it in the right spot as far as depth in the pot. So now we're going to come over here and we're going to water it. Now you can do this outside in your patio if you've got a spigot outside. I'm sure some apartment or condominium places have that. Otherwise you could just do it under your sink. And then what we're going to do is we're going to wet that soil, fill it up to the rim, and let it drain down. See, it's bubbling because it's getting all that oxygen that's in the soil and firming down the soil. Now sometimes after you've done this, the soil level will be kind of low and you might have to come in and put a little more soil in there because it was all fluffy and dry when you put it in here. Okay, so we're going to do it the 3rd time, and again you're going to see more bubbles coming up. And that's also your other potted plants when you're watering. I would do the same thing, fill it up at least 3 times, and if you see bubbles, that means that guy was dry, and that's good. You want them to dry out between waterings. You don't want to keep them too wet between those waterings. Okay, looks like it's settling down pretty good here. And then we'll give it one more shot. And then also, I'll go ahead and kind of wash the dirt off the outside of the pot because it's kind of dirty when you're potting. Alright, so that should give us a nice saturated pot. Chances are we're not going to need to water this guy again for probably about a month or so, depending upon how hot your house is. Now, if you have the air conditioning going, or you've got a heater going, or the humidity is low, it's going to dry out a little bit faster. But generally, if everything is kind of doing what it normally does, you should be able to go about a month before you have to water this guy again. So this is a good vacation kind of plant. You know, if you travel a lot, this is something that you can really saturate well and leave and be gone for a couple weeks and not have a problem with it. So now that it's done draining, we will bring it back over, put it back on our saucer, and there we have a transplanted houseplant that you can enjoy probably for a couple years in this container. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again. Have a good day.